Hello, my lovely, and welcome back to another episode of the What's Your Glimmer podcast. I am your host, Annie Eclectic. And I was told that I need to organize myself a bit of an intro. So, how does this sound? Hello, my lovely. Welcome back to another episode of the Glimmer Seekers Watch Your Glimmer podcast. I am Annie Eclectic, the founder of the Glimmer Seekers Collective, where we focus on bringing our shine to our passion businesses. We like to keep things raw. I like to keep things as unedited as possible. And here we just generally talk about how life is a huge contributing factor to how we travel our way through our passion businesses, through our small creative businesses, our micro, mini but mighty micro businesses. And here we like to look at things that we can use to, what's the word? Enhance our journey. I am incredibly interested in things like energy from crystals. I'm a crystal healer, so obviously I like crystals. And I like to go out, do earthing, chat with the moon, and generally pay attention to the ebbs and flows that happen within our lives. And I go take myself and I beaver away on the internet looking to see if there might be a contributing factor. And that is one of the big things that we look at in the Glimmer Seekers Collective. Don't think that was the best intro. Maybe that's what this episode is about. Maybe that's what we should talk about. One of the members within the collective said to me, "Why are you shying away?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Why am I shying away?" And she said, "Well, you appear to be shying away from kind of the energy stuff and talking about the energy stuff. We do it in the collective, but you don't talk about it on socials and you don't seem to be talking about it kind of in the podcast. And actually, that's a really huge part of what the Glimmer Seekers is." And she's absolutely right. When we first set out, we wanted to make sure that we were doing things like looking at the seasons rather than just looking at financial quarters. We look at the seasons. So for quarter 4 of this year, we actually used autumn. We looked at the energies of autumn and the fact that it's about harvest and celebrating the things that you've grown, the things that you have reaped in through the summer, and then taking a look at the things that you have developed, that you've learned, that you've picked up, seeing how those help, how you can kind of take those forward, or whether there's something that you need to shake off. I mean, if you look at the trees and stuff, they no longer need the green leaves. Their leaves have been green through the summer. They've absorbed all of the wealth of the sun and drawn that into the tree. And now they're shaking those leaves loose and they're changing the color. They're letting go of something that they don't need anymore. And that's not to say that those leaves haven't been, obviously they've been essential to that tree's growth, and they continue to be essential to that tree's growth, because when they drop down, they drop to the earth, they mulch down, I mean, unless you move them, and they become part of the nutrients of the earth, which is then pulled up through the roots and the cycle. And we have exactly the same cycles within our passion businesses, within our lives, within our personal energies. I mean, my goodness me, we are so affected by nature and the energies that are around us that honestly, people who deny it, they're just not. Maybe it's that we are looking and they aren't. Everybody's truth is their own. But I have definitely found that when I have been, working with the moon's energy, the planetary day energy. So like Thursday today, it's the Jupiter's day, which is a day of abundance, and it's the day of growth. So I am focusing on recording podcast episodes because the podcast is something that I would like to create in abundance, and it's something that I would like to grow. It's something that I would like to produce in order to, I don't know, to impact people, to help people, hopefully. And so I use that energy. We're in the waning phase of the moon at the moment. We're in the gibbous phase, and that is like the point of growth that's just before the full moon. So we're in that final part of growing what we want to manifest within the full moon. And before we start dropping off the other side into that energy of losing things and letting go of things that don't serve us and that we don't necessarily want to grow, that we would like to diminish and remove, that create space for all the things to grow when we get past the new moon, and we start that growing phase again. We are in a constant cycle. I mean, there's so much more to it. If you wanted to get into the astrological side of it, but I'm not an expert. I will never be an expert. It's too much for my poor little mind to keep up with. And there are some incredible creators who do that already, and I don't need to. I can just point you in that direction, can't I? So here I am talking to you about the energies. And of course, how can I forget the crystal energies that I love to work with? They are my favorite. I've got my lapis lazuli fidget ring on and matching necklace, because why not? Lapis lazuli, it's a stone of friendship, and through this, I hope to make connections, and I hope that maybe this podcast will help you create connections with new people. It would be so lovely to build a really beautiful community through doing something like this. Lapis lazuli is also connected to the throat chakra, and it's connected to the third eye chakra, and your throat, obviously that's your communication, and I'm not doing anything but talking here. So I need all the help that I can get, and being connected to the third eye, that means that it's helping me to connect with my intuition, because in case you hadn't realized, I don't script. I just go with whatever comes out of my mouth. And so far, so good. I haven't really had to edit any of the other podcasts so far. And honestly, the response has been so positive. And I have been so grateful to those people who have listened to every episode I've put out so far, who have contacted me, who have rated on like Apple Podcast and left comments, or watched my YouTube, or even those people who have watched on all the channels, because they are just amazing. And that's not including myself, which obviously I do that. But I really want to make sure that I show up here in this space as truthfully and as openly as I can. And I'm really trying to avoid the word authentic, but when the shoe fits, as authentically as I can. And part of that means talking about all the crazy energy stuff, and talking about the fact that we have to do certain things in order for us to show up the best way that we can. And those things are not pushing forward, just grinding and hustle culture, boss babe in it. I mean, you can be a boss babe, my darling, but please just spend some time with your feet on the earth. Go chat with the moon. Do some deep breathing, do some meditation, take a moment for some mindfulness. Just allow yourself to be. We are in such a busy world with so much noise, with so many people telling you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to show up this way, you have to show up that way. You don't. You just have to show up as you. And the only way that you can show up as you is if you spend some time actually allowing yourself to get to know you and to be you. And if you're going to do those things, you will notice a huge difference in the way that you show up for your passion business, or it just generally in life. I have noticed there's quite a few people who don't have passion businesses who have messaged me and said that they've got so much from these episodes. And while I will be focusing on the passion business side of things, because that's what this podcast is, I am feeling so humbled and so blessed that my community are doing that and they are taking something from it. And honestly, I just, thank you to those people. So this is the first podcast of, there's a lot of batch recording, I suppose. I was a bit nervous about doing this. And thank you for listening. Is that how I'm going to end this? I think it might be. It's going to be quite a quick one, this one, I suppose. Or I don't know. I haven't been looking at the time blindness and all of that. It's a help and a hindrance, I suppose. But thank you so much for listening to this. And I would really, really love to know what things you do. What are the things that you do? Do you have some quirky little rituals that you do? Do you make your coffee in the morning with intention? Stir it clockwise so that you can add something to it. Stir it anti-clockwise if you're just a bit like, oh my gosh, I do not want this in my part of the day. I do silly little rhymes when I'm taking my supplements. I did a reel a while ago about it, which made me really laugh. But yeah, I intentionally take my supplements and I'm saying, this is good for me, this makes me strong. And the more you do those things, you actually are doing some pretty incredible things with your internal your hormones and your neuropathways and all of that. And that is a whole different story. I'm not going to get into that now. In fact, I'm going to ask a guest to come on in the new year so that we can dive into all of that and talk about how we can do those things to help you with your business. But for right now, I'm going to say goodbye again. Sorry, I did kind of go off on one a little bit. And I will see you in the next episode, or you'll hear me wherever it is that you are watching or listening. But for now, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Please catch your glimmers, hold on to them, absorb them, save them for later, and take that joy with you into your day. Bye-bye.